Chapter 2. I kick my front foot into the binding of my snowboard and ride up to the line, waiting my turn for the chairlift. The sun has barely risen, a layer of virgin snow crunching beneath my boots, fallen thick and heavy overnight. Only the sound of the wind is heard as it whistles between metal bars and rubber discs as they judder and jilt against the cold steel frame. They'll soon warm up, running slicker, smoother, once there are heavy bodies and bums in seats as the amount of traffic on the slopes picks up. For now, the newly arrived guests are far too busy enjoying first breakfast at the chalets as they take in the spectre of a rich pink and orange Val d'Isère mountain vista. I'm not much of a breakfast person myself. Some days it's hard enough bending forward to the floor to fasten my bindings on an empty stomach, let alone a stomach that's full on a breakfast of freshly baked bread rolls, boiled eggs, ham, bacon, cheeses, and for the richest guests, a glass of 2 of chilled Prosecco. Dan and I sit back in unison as the chairlift nudges the backs of our legs, Dan pulling down the bar to keep us from falling to the perilous ground below. "So she didn't show up?" he asks, as I relay the absence of Inga at the airport last night. It's hard not to show how gutted I am after all the build-up and excitement I had felt about finally getting to meet her. "That's so weird," says Dan, and totally not what I imagined from her after all the talk from Nicholas about how amazing she is as a coach. It doesn't sound like the kind of thing you'd expect from someone like her. "Well," I say, my voice flat, "that's what happened. We waited for her for ages as well, and we ended up missing our dinner booking. Then by the time we got home, we were just too tired to eat. Not exactly the best way for Nicholas to begin prepping for his Winter Olympic trials, that's for sure." Dan raises the bar as the chairlift approaches a heap of snow at the top of the slope. Judging by the lack of marks on the ground, we're the first ones up here this morning, which means we're in for some nice smooth rides without the ground being all carved up. "Still want to work on that Dalecarlian carve?" asked Dan. I shrugged my shoulders, having given it little thought since the letdown of last night. "I guess," I say, "might as well make the most of having the place to ourselves." "That's the spirit," says Dan, raising his tips up straight and glancing in the general direction of Val d'Isère's scaled-back half-pipe. "It's perfect for someone at my level. Enough of a challenge, but not as dangerous as what you'll find at some of the grander ski resorts. I invested my entire first month's earnings from the coffee shop on my new snowboard, with a lot of help from Dan's staff discount, so I'm eager to spend as much time on it as I can, even if practicing the carve that Inga became so famous for creating leaves me feeling a little bittersweet this morning." Dan's doing his best to cut through my disappointment. "You know," he says, "I bet there's a perfectly good explanation. Maybe she just missed her flight." "Yeah, that's what Nicholas said. Reckons she must have caught an earlier flight and called to leave him a message. Only he didn't have his phone on him, so he couldn't check last night." We ski close to the edge of the half-pipe and adjust our bindings, Dan finding a spot on the ground where he can sit and shout instructions at me as I give the Dalecarlian carve a whirl. "Dang," he says, adjusting the Velcro strap on one glove. "I'm surprised Nicholas didn't have his phone on him. I thought he was supposed to carry it everywhere, with being on mountain rescue." I teeter on the drop of the half-pipe, suddenly less confident as I take in the steepness of the void below, everything out of proportion in the deep new layer of snow. "He is," I say, "only Miriam borrowed his stuff last night when he was in the shower. Says he put the phone in his hoodie pocket ready for picking Inga up at the airport. Only when he got out of the shower, his stuff was gone from his room." "Dude," exclaims Dan, shaking his head crossly, "you guys seriously have to do something about that Miriam. It's not right her showing up unannounced like that and expecting you all to fork out for her. Nicholas has way bigger fish to fry right now than getting his stuff all messed up by her. Cousin or not, after what she did to Carl and getting him in trouble with the police over those watch thefts, that was so not cool." "Tell me about it," I say, catching my breath as I tilt the edge of my board and drop deep down below, replaying every one of Inga's moves in my head, years of watching video footage of her, frame by frame, etched into my muscle memory. A grab here, a flick there, followed by a series of snappy rotations. I have the trick perfectly etched in my mind's eye. Just got to get the body to follow through now. Sweet, says Dan, as the properties of physics send me back up to the edge of the half-pipe with a little more speed than I'd banked on. Thankfully, Dan grabs me at the top of the pipe as I start to wobble backwards. That was really good. You need to relax a bit more on the tail grab, but other than that was pretty neat. The adrenaline of the day's first attempt at the carve is already working wonders on my mood. Just the right hit of dopamine and adrenaline, plus I'm feeling way warmer after the initial flurry of exercise. A few moments to catch my breath as the adrenaline settles, and then I'll give it another go. It's funny though, I say, because before the incident with Miriam trying to get Carl stealing for her back when she was in Sweden, Nicholas would have been the first one to say we should kick her out. Only now, he's putting in all this work into his Olympic mindset, and there's Inga calling him up every day. He's gone all kind of zen about things. He's like super focused, says we should just leave Miriam to it, that she'll get bored and leave her own accord soon enough. Once she stumbles on some new scam or person to freeload off or whatever. Apparently that's what she's always done, ever since they were kids. Well, I guess that makes a lot of sense, says Dan, gathering up a small ball of snow and throwing it to the other side of the half-pipe. It's the same when we're on expeditions, and there's someone you don't gel with in the group. When you're in that kind of environment, it's really just best to work on things you do have control over, rather than wasting energy trying to fix external things which you can't control. But I'm still surprised that Inga didn't stop by the chalet, even if it was just to say hello, unless she missed the flight completely. I shrug my shoulders. Guess so, I say, and I can feel the darkness returning to my mood, though thankfully nowhere near as much as earlier. That's what makes it so annoying, I say, digging into the snow with my free foot and kicking it back and forth. She didn't miss her flight, so she had to have got the earlier one, but maybe must have not got the message to Nicholas or something. Maybe she was going to surprise him, Dan suggests. I mean, they do go back a long time. What was he, like a baby or something when they first met? She must feel like family to him after all that time. But, I say, feeling slightly irritated at Inga, and maybe a bit at Dan too, for always seeing the best in people. If she thought so highly of Nicholas, then why leave him a note telling him that she switched his trials, when the least she could do was drop a bombshell like that to his face? Dan stares at me blankly. Seems this is as much news to him as it were for me when Nicholas told me about Inga's package. Switched his trials? You mean like his Olympic selection panel? He never mentioned it. Yep, I say, finding it hard to hold back my annoyance. Just left him a package with a note and a new training plan. Apparently he's no longer entering as a downhill skier. She switched him to biathlon. Biathlon, says Dan, pushing up his hat from his forehead. You're joking me, right? Nicholas? Biathlon? Nicholas can't shoot for toffee. Has he even got his own gun? She's got to be pranking him. I mean, that's a pretty sick prank, but no way, biathlon. They've been training for downhill skiing his entire life. Why would she change it now? And so close to the trials. So it's me, I say. I know about as much about it as you do. There's a moment of silence between us. Dan standing up and stretching out the backs of his legs as he half-heartedly brushes off the snow from his ski pants. How did Nicholas take it? Please don't tell me he was all silver lining about it. That's exactly how he took it. Said that Inga must have her reasons and that he just has to trust her. Well, says Dan, got to admit the guy's got balls. I thought I was laid back, but I've got nothing on that dude. Got to hand it to him. That's what you call focus and drive. We should probably head anyway. I kicked my free foot back into its binding. One more, before we go. We've got just enough time. It's the first day for the guests, remember. They'll be faffing around with breakfast for ages yet, and all their cool new ski gear and taking selfies for at least another 20 minutes, if we're quick. My last attempt at the Dalecarlian carve for the day doesn't quite go to plan, and now I'm covered in what I know will be deep blue bruises and hot spots down one side of my body by the time I head for bed tonight. But I'm really satisfied with my efforts, and quite jubilant at mastering every element of Inga's famous carve, well, apart from overshooting the landing. "Last one down serves the loser coffee," says Dan, teasing me because I'm always the last one down the slope. And since I work in a coffee shop, I'm the one who'll be making the coffee and taking it to Dan at the ski shop where he works. But today, I'm high on mastery of the Dalecarlian carve, giving me the extra bit of edge I need to get one over on Dan. I point my ski glove in the general direction of a line of trees to the side of us. "Quick!" I yell. "There's Nicholas! Over there in the trees!" I jab my hand furiously. Dan whipping his body around to see, but by the time he realises I've tricked him, I'm long gone. Boards sailing down the slope towards the barrier. I can hear Dan yelling at me from behind. "I was just giving you a head start," he shouts. "Thought you might need it." His voice already sounds like he's catching me up fast. He's well versed in quick getaways, having been trained in polar bear safety from his recent expedition crossing the Arctic with a kite and skis. Plus he's got a more professional snowboard than my beginner version. I have to get myself into the right position to make sure I'm as streamlined as I can be and to avoid coming a cropper on any unexpected bumps in the snow. I'm almost clear as the orange plastic of a barrier by the ski lift comes into view, dancing merrily in the breeze. "You got this, Maddie. Don't lose it now. Almost there. Just stay focused." I know I need to start raising the edge of my board to start the braking process, but I can hear Dan gaining on me, and if I slow too soon, he'll beat me. Besides, there's always the last dip before the barrier, an intentional valley and steep incline, there to put a stop to anyone who overshoots or forgets how to stop. The dip is coming into view, just a few more seconds. "Maddie!" shouts Dan from behind me. "Don't forget to brake!" The tone of his voice tells me he's serious, but there's a rebellious part of me telling me to ignore him, in case he's tricking me when I've come so far, when I'm just about to beat him. "Not on your Nelly, Dan." I'm close enough to see right down into the smallish dip now, but there's something there. A forgotten jacket? Something more solid maybe. Too late to slow down, nowhere to swerve to miss it. My brain trying to take it all in, the world around me suddenly playing out in slow motion as Dan, swerving to avoid it too, collides into me at full speed, his body angled as full as he can so he doesn't hurt me. Elbows and knees crashing into each other as gravity comes to join us. Dan's lip split and bloody, a small cut across his eyebrow, the both of us winded. "What the hell was that?" asked Dan. I feel bad for him, for not listening to him. I'm so sorry, Dan. I should have listened when you said to brake." "No, Maddie, not that. That couldn't be helped. I mean, that." He's looking at the ground, at the pile of ski gear and the pools of blood. The body making its presence understood now that my brain is processing the scene before us. The body, half covered in snow, dressed in the uniform of the Val d'Isere ski resort.